Five, four, three, two, one, go!
Hello, all you crazy bastards. Gil here. We are back for another episode of the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Going to start it off a little different today. Guys, I want to talk to you about some of our friends out there at Interplay Learning. Guys, these are doing things different. You know that me and Kelley are huge advocates on training and the proper learning for people to be successful in this industry. Well, guys, Interplay Learning, they come to work every day because they want to solve one of the biggest problems of the trade. The skills gap keeps growing. Traditional training is too far to keep up. Baby boomers are retiring in droves, and the demand for skilled workers is at an all-time high. They embrace the challenges of pushing technological limits of 3D sims and VR to attract a new generation of professionals. Boldly refine hands-on training and make learning exponentially faster and more powerful. Guys, I have seen this program. I've had my hands on it. Everybody wants to do things online today. Some people can learn that way, some people can't. But for the people who can, this is kind of on a whole nother level. So guys, go check out Interplay Learning at interplaylearning.com and give them a look. If you're trying to refine your skills, you know nothing, you know the basics and need to go a little farther, check out Interplay Learning. All right, on to the show.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all of our global listeners.
If you're trying to take your HVAC game to the next level, then buckle your seatbelt, crank up the volume, and try not to be offended, because you're listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast with Gil Cavey and Kelley McKay. Now, here's Gil and Kelley.
Yo, welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored podcast, episode 91. I am your host, Gil Cavey Jr., sitting alongside my buddy, old pal, Mr. Kelley McKay. What's up, my friend?
What's going on, man? I'm excited. We got a good guest tonight.
Yes, we do, man. You know what? We're all good. It's summer. It's Disney. Let's just get right into it.
Disney?
It's Disney. Yeah, I wish I could go to Disney.
Tonight, guys, we have Mr. Doug Donovan. He's the CEO and founder of Interplay Learning. So welcome to the show, Doug.
Thank you. Thanks, Kelley. Thanks, Gil. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Just so everybody knows the backdrop on this, thank God for, Doug coming back on tonight. It was supposed to be last week. We were supposed to record this, but, I was peeing out a flamethrower, so we had to reschedule. So once again, thank you for being able to work around your schedule and come back. We really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, no problem. All my clauses have a flamethrower out of peeing clause, so you're fine.
Well, phew, it's always that fine print we got to pay attention to. I guess, Doug, start off. I mean, I know I read a little about on your website, but I guess let the listeners know who you are. And a little bit about Interplay.
Yeah, so Interplay Learning is an education technology company, and from day one of our company, we've been focused on trying to use online simulations to train technical hands-on workers, and we've been doing it for almost a decade now. From really when we started this back in the day, and we've done it for electrical, plumbing, HVAC, facility maintenance. We've even done back in the day a haircutting simulation. But really, we've ended up in HVAC in the last 4 or 5 years as our primary focus, because as you guys know, one, obviously the training needs are high, right? You got electrical, you got pressure, you got all kinds of things, you name it. And that sets up really well for what we do, which is fundamentally deliver, great training to try to accelerate people into these trades.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And one thing I love about what you do is we're in the video game era You know, I would say in my youth, in Kelley's youth, Kelley's a little bit older than me, not by much, but I mean, like the Atari.
Yeah.
If you were born in the Atari, then you're born in the video game era. And sadly, kids are learning that way. I mean, in the military, they use Xbox controllers to fly missiles and, you know, little rovers and stuff. So,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are correlating those two to learning different things nowadays. What I like about that is something that's really big to bring the younger generation into it. If they think it's like a game, but they're learning at the same time, I think it can be huge. And I'll be honest when I say this, I don't ever sugarcoat it. When I first saw it and I started using this, I was like, man, I could, because I've always been a hands-on learner.
Right.
And I was like, man, I could never do this. This shit isn't going to work for me. And then I started doing it and I was like, this is actually pretty neat.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could do this because it really does. It's hands-on without being hands-on, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to mimic hands-on, right? You know, the bottleneck to getting techs really experienced is just hands-on. I mean, hell, we'd all be great technicians if, you know, we could follow you, Gil, around for 3 years, right? That would be the best way we could learn. I don't think that's disputable, assuming you're good at what you do and you're a good communicator, by the way. There's two, you know, critical things there. And
I got one of those two.
and, you know, but that just doesn't scale, right? You know, that wouldn't work. And so you sort of started with military, which is an interesting place about, you know, Xboxes and rovers. And, you know, fundamentally, we've, you know, borrowed a lot of what we know and what we do from the military, from the aviation industry, and from medical, right? They've been using simulations for decades, literally decades, because they've shown, and there's stacks and stacks of research that show it, right? You can imagine how much the government studies it when they're going to invest in it. That simulation training alongside, you know, in parallel with hands-on training is the fastest way to competency. And, you know, not simulation on its own, not hands-on its own, but when done right in combination, there is no better way. I mean, they have study after study taking a Navy program that used to be 34 weeks down to 16 weeks with better learning outcomes. You know, surgeons, you know, 6 times fewer errors, you know, boom, 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 right down the line. The problem was for decades, that's so expensive to develop and deliver. Like, who is going to bring it to the HVAC industry? And so, you know, 2010 is when we saw, geez, the cost of development of these sims is dropping, and the ability to deliver them on everyday computers was changing. And then the ubiquity of broadband really coming on right there. All of a sudden it sort of lined up and said, we can take that incredible learning technology and bring it to the trades. And that was really the genesis of this whole company.
I think that's great because this is going to fill a huge gap, because I can tell you from personal experience, it's extremely hard to scale, just like you said, to scale by bringing a guy on, because it literally takes 2 to 3 years for them to become competent.
Yep, that's right. And they're an economic drain on your company, right? Until that point.
100%.
And, you know, we say that all the time. So when we set out, and, you know, I say we're 10 years old, but the company, who we are today, really started in 2016 when we decided to build an online on-demand catalog of learning for the electrical, mechanical, industrial workforce, and with a heavy focus in HVAC. And what we set out to do is not like build a curriculum like a school, and no offense to trade schools, you know, they're fantastic, obviously, but we didn't think, look, we got 2 years, let's do this, let's just fill. We went into the marketplace, went to companies like yours and said, what does someone need to know in the first 3 months to be more valuable? And we built that curriculum first. What does someone need from month 3 to month 12 to be more valuable? And so we really focused the curriculum on that. And our goal is to, move that curve from, you know, economic profit from that guy being 2.5 years out. Can you make him actually valuable to you in 9 months? Can you make him even, you know, in 6 months with our program and with your job shadowing and whatever else you're doing? You know, can you accelerate the learning? Our tagline used to be accelerate your learning. And that's exactly what we intend, what we do.
Yeah. You know, we're trying to make these guys more profitable. I mean, as managers, as business owners, profits is what it comes down to. That's pretty much what we all look at the end of the day. Obviously, we want to make customers happy, but when you can get guys in and get them out to be able to start being a profit earner and out there being able to do things and not like have to babysit them. If you can decrease that time, I mean, who wouldn't want that?
Yep, that's right.
Two things about what you said that I love is I am very big on, all right, so we've talked between me and Kelley and talking to other people. A lot of people now are hiring outside of the trade. They're finding good personalities, bringing these people in, and teaching them the skills because they already have the communication, the personality. You just got to fit them with the rest of the tools. And something like this is huge because they don't necessarily, okay, hey, I love you, man. I'm going to send you to school for, a year.
Right.
A lot of people don't want to do that. Not saying they shouldn't, but they don't want to do that. And then the other thing is I am huge on guys bettering themselves on their own time. Like, hey, I'll do whatever I can do to make you successful. But if you don't want to do something on your time, how successful do you really want to be?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like almost giving them homework. Hey, man, I want you to go check out these 2 classes tomorrow. When you come in, we'll talk about it in the office, and I love that. It shows me what kind of person they are, their initiative. So I really think that this would some infield, or even if like we took the gas furnace class and then the day after we did some hands-on stuff inside of the shop.
That's right. That's right.
This could be huge.
Yeah. Well, frankly, it is huge. We've had an incredible last year when we really came in with a robust catalog, right? Before you have a full catalog, it's a little harder to sell. But when we really had a robust catalog, our growth has been incredible. Like it's blown me away. I just can't believe it. And the biggest driver has been what you just said, is that the people are hiring for attitude now and training for aptitude, because the typical supply lines of where they found that talent, like everyone's been complaining about the skills gap for the last 5 years. And we've been watching it. It really was the last year or two. We can see people saying, I got to solve it myself. I can't whine about this anymore. I got to solve it myself. How am I going to solve it? I'm going to go find some good people. And, I'm going to use my friends' networks, my employee networks, find good people, and then I'm going to train them. And so what they do then is they say, I can't, I'm not a training company. What? And they go online and they look for it. And that's where they find us. We hear this story over and over. It's a build your own workforce program that's happening across this country. And we arm them with a foundation of training to build from, right? And so we have plenty of customers now using us as career laddering. Like, okay, once you finish the intermediate stuff on Interplay, you're going to get $150 raise, that type of thing. And meanwhile, they're earning and learning, right? They're earning with you in the field every day. They're helping. They come back smarter every day, especially if they got in that night or they got home at 3:30 and got in there for an hour and a half, right? That's the whole idea, that this is, at some level, it's kind of a apprenticeship for the service company, right? A program that isn't send them away, but you're seeing them during the day. They're doing some of this. One of the other big areas we've seen growth is the market. We call it the enterprising tech, which is exactly who you just described. And it's the person who wants to get better. So while we often sell to companies, right, the Bob's Heating and Air, and they'll buy 10 seats for their younger techs or onboarding, et cetera, we'll also find somebody who is a tech and who maybe doesn't know what was going on those last 2 days as they followed you, Gil, in the field. And they're at night trying to figure out, what was I doing with that undercharge system? And they find our stuff and they're buying in at $20 a month just to get access to that catalog and practice and learn. So that enterprising tech market, while we don't focus on it directly, they find us and you know who they are, because they're always power users, because they want to get better. And we love seeing those folks on our platform.
That's great.
Well, we love it when we find those folks.
Yeah, right.
Those are the type of people who drive the company. They're the future of the company. But just the lodging, the travel, the meals, that's all on top of the expense of a school.
Right. That's right.
Is tremendous. It's a tremendous, I hate to call it a burden, but it's a tremendous expense that's put on us as business owners. It's a gamble. It truly is
a gamble, especially early on. You don't know, what you invest in them. the old joke is you got to invest in your guys. Would you rather invest and they leave and they stay and they're bad? Like it's always tough. And
what if they don't leave?
Yeah, exactly. Like, would you rather have undertrained people who stayed or overtrained who left? And it doesn't feel like a good situation in either case. So that's why this, we have, I don't want to make an ad of this conversation, but it's really affordable. It's $300 to get in there and do all of this, right, for a year. And we do that for the reason we want it to be the platform that your company is going to use forever. Like, oh yeah, we'll always put our techs in there. It's woven into who we are in this culture of learning and development that we built. And we crank out catalogs literally by the week where, there wasn't a course on EPA, level 3 or whatever that, but there is now, right? Like we just keep the stuff coming. So there's always reason to keep coming back. And that's really just to build a support system for you to run your own little mini apprenticeship program.
That's neat. I do like the fact. Yeah, I do like, and I've been thinking about this because there is a way for me, like I was talking about, to like assign this as homework and me as like an admin to be able to see if my guys complete certain things.
There absolutely is. It's the assignment feature we actually just rolled out. We actually we haven't even notified a lot of customers. We just put it like sort of just watch it get used. And then we're in beta right now with a thing called the Command Center, which you would be the master of your own command center, which I think you would like that. And yeah, you're assigning learning paths, competency paths, you're assigning courses, you have full visibility into, look, Sally's kicking ass. Looks like Bobby maybe is struggling with some electrical stuff. He seems to be, stuck here. Let's send him out with Jose. He's our best electrical guy. Whatever it is, that visibility is really powerful in the hands of a good service manager or company owner.
That damn Bobby, he's always messing up.
That's right.
I like that because I was actually like, Kelley owns the company. I run the company. I don't own it. But I was talking to my boss about that, and we love the fact that that's something that we have options that we can do things together in the office, go over a couple, and then I can assign, homework during the slow seasons.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, we have to, like, being a factory authorized carrier dealer, we have to take so many of their classes. Like, you have to in order to keep your status. That's fine. We used to pay for them and pay the guy while they were there. Then we found, I'm their boss sitting 2 seats away from them, and I'm like, well, this is what they do when I'm here. What the hell do they do when I'm not here? So we started making it more driven. Like, hey, if you're willing to learn, we'll pay you back in the long run, but it's got to be a little bit more on you. You have to be worried about your future as well. And this is something else that we want to incorporate. Obviously not in the middle of the summertime, but as we start, especially here in Maryland, once the summer goes off, we don't have that gradual decline. It's like jumping off a cliff. So I want to dive into learning stuff. So,
well, Carrier is a big partner of ours. And so my learning center has all of our simulations, and you get FAD credit for it.
Ooh,
look at that. So, so go to your
not
friends
train,
at
Kelley, not train. It's Carrier.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, my friends at Carrier will be happy that I mentioned that. Yeah, all our simulations and custom simulations are also on Carrier. So we just did NGIP. What's that? A furnace? I just heard that. We just did. We've done a bunch of stuff. They're Infinity line, some different stuff. So yeah, you've got the world's your oyster, Gil.
That is awesome. I'm very, very excited. I don't want to never mind. I don't want to talk dirty. I was going to say, but I was getting a little excited over here. I had to. No, that's good.
Are you talking about your flamethrower again, Gil?
Sorry.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Come on. And what I love about this, and we talked a little bit before we started recording, is because of the skill gap out there, it's just giving people options. Like we said, we talked about that school. We had a podcast with a school that came out this week, which I love what they're doing, because we know that so many schools out there are get them in, get them out, get them in, get them out.
Yep.
And we know that.
Churn them and burn them. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, we're setting people up for failure. And the sad part is I feel sorry for these young kids because they think they're doing the right thing and they're not. They have no idea until it's too late. So having options like this that they can get a job, be earning revenue for themselves and for the company, and then be learning a trade that we're always going to be here. Robots ain't doing our job. You know what I mean? I just think that's amazing. And getting this out to the masses and making this alluring to kids, like, this is a good job. If you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, hey, that's great. Go do that. But if you don't know, like some people know college is not for them. And it's either, okay, I guess I'll go in the military or, I'll go do something else. So
I just go ahead, Kelley. Sorry.
I like the idea of just the incentive based, because the bottom line is we are driven by incentives, period. You can choose the incentive, as a business owner, but whether it be using this platform as your leveling up, climbing the ladder within the company. Yeah. Like I love that idea. And I love that how the modules progress. So they're learning and they should be, more skilled by the time they finish the next module and the next module.
That's exactly right.
And then actually go out in the field and experience it too. So
that's right. You'll find in short order that time in the field with a young tech will get way more valuable because they've done a lot of reps already. Maybe they didn't understand exactly why they were, measuring for 240 volts on that, but they did it a bunch and then they're out there and they know quickly why to ask you. They've sort of identified their gaps quicker. You might even know their gaps using that dashboard, right? And so, yeah, give you a little more power and intent to drive this thing to, like we said, to a profitable employee. And you'll look at the content list and it's like, you're not going to see a proof for Ohm's law in the content. It's really practical driven. And, we do some nice background stuff, good video stuff on, refrigeration cycle. You need all of that, right? Obviously. But we really try to make the pillars of the catalog the active sims. So they're out there troubleshooting different pieces of equipment. And there's instruction mode and practice mode and challenge mode. And yeah, it definitely does better when someone cares to learn, right? Because it's not easy. It's not like you turn it on and it learns for you. But it's certainly an engaging way to do it and flexible, right? You can do it sitting on your couch. You might, have remember the days when they used to have sports on TV. You could sit there and do a little bit of both, maybe with two screens. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Well, plus this is COVID friendly because you can sit at home.
Sure is. And our business, like I said, about a year ago, really started taking off after years of pushing a stone up the hill. And then COVID hit and we went to the next level, right? I mean, just anybody who was on the fence and knew about us, he said, well, my techs are stuck at home. And the reception has been extraordinary. Anybody who had some, skepticism about it, can I really learn this way? Will my guys really learn? They saw their techs adopt it, they use it, communicate that they liked it, feel they were getting more confident and competent. And so, yeah, our business is, it's kind of sad to say, right? You hate to say like, ooh, a good pandemic, right? But it did accelerate our business. Our stuff is all online. So people do it on tablets, any tablet or desktop. And then we also have the virtual reality side, which we haven't talked too much about, but that's the shiny object that gets a lot of attention. But for all practical purposes, it's kind of sitting on the sideline now, right? Nobody is going, no one's handing around a headset. They're, not that available yet, or people just don't have access to them right now. So it's been fine because of our online delivery. But at some point, once the world gets back to normal and you try the VR piece of our solution, again, it's the exact same content, whether you do it on a tablet, troubleshooting a split residential AC system, or in a VR, it's literally the same exact experience. Our content experience is very different because the VR side is like, you'll take off the goggles and you will have just had a multimeter in your hand, or so your brain thought. And it is so fun to to watch the engagement level of techs, getting in basements, and we don't have, we don't pump in the heat yet, but we'll figure out how to do that at some point in the next, decade. But yeah, there's two levels here, but COVID, the online stuff with COVID really made that downtime, productive time. You talk about dropping off the cliff at the end of August in Maryland, like we let's make it productive on day one.
Well, plus you see now, like, online learning is huge. Online schools, like, how many online schools have popped up in the last, I don't even know how long. Like, that's everybody's getting the degree at, Ding Dong University online. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Just,
people are finding that it's modeling, it's just modeling, and people are finding that they can just pay somebody a lot of money, $6,000, $7,000, $10,000, $30,000, and get that education, get that specific piece that they need to get to where they want to go a lot faster. So
yeah, I mean,
it's perfect timing.
It is. You're right. Gil, you were talking about earlier about, the debt around 4-year colleges, and is that really the right path? And, I think there is a nice pendulum shift now. They're saying, wait a minute, is that really worth it? Right. I think the conversation has changed a little bit. So that's been nice to see. And, this earn and learn model, right? I'm going to earn, and I'm going to earn and learn the whole way. Because of our access now, not just in our stuff, but there's just a lot of good training capabilities now with education technology that you can do that, and you don't have to sequester yourself for 2 years or 4 years in a training or a learning program. You get to learn while you're working, and in the end, at those end of the 4 years, you're way further along than you'd be if you were just in a sequestered learning environment, right? That mingling the two is way more effective for everybody.
Plus, I like how this can technically never end. If you go to a trade school and, and even the good ones that we, support, they only cover a certain topic for a certain period of time. So you better hope you learn it in that period of time. If you have a bunch of guys, you're not just, hey, everybody's eating hot dogs. You know what I mean? It's like you said, this person we know is weak on this thing.
That's
so
right.
I'm going to start shoving this at that person.
Yeah.
Or if one of your guys comes back and he comes to me and says, hey, Gil, I was good with all the other stuff, but there's this one thing I'm just not getting it. Or why don't you try taking that, take that class again? But, let's keep doing that. Just the repetition of it. Maybe you'll learn it. I love that. The customizing of the
customability.
Yeah.
Is that
Sorry,
a word?
Can't speak tonight.
Yeah.
And just all those features, how you have the working during the day, putting your hands on the real thing, and at night, the virtual part, which is pretty much the same thing.
The cognitive side. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you guys know what you do. And, I don't know what breakdown you would say. When I've asked other techs, I get different answers, but it's like 85% of the job is really cognitive and challenging, right? That's the mentally challenging. The last piece is, you got to learn it, but, getting repetitions on that 85% to get, you guys, I think, joked the other day with the trade school folks about parts changers or changed out the capacitor, I'm done, right? But building, real experience around that, you need repetitions. You need to see a lot of different variables. You need to see different pressures. You need to see different, voltage readings, and you have to be able to diagnose that. And the simulations give you that opportunity to really practice and really condense that experience, right? I mean, you might say, well, I need 5 years before I see a misaligned thermistor. Well, you get about 5 minutes, you can have one in our sim, right? So you can really get a lot of scenarios in a short amount of time. And that's why it's proven to be so effective in all those other industries we mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Me and Kelley are huge.
That's so I used to take notes.
Yeah.
I would take notes because there would be something that you would see in the field and you would literally not see it again for 3 years.
Yep. I believe.
And I'd be like, I've had this problem before, and I would refer to my notes and,
And our goal,
so, yeah,
Gil,
totally.
Our goal, Gil, like you talked about, this should be forever. program, right? Like our goal is that, forever you rely, you're going there even as a seasoned tech. You should be, in a few years when we have so much content, there'll always be something to learn, right? We're, like I said, we're just cranking out as fast as we can with, high quality stuff. But yeah, you should be able to see when Carrier comes out with something new, right? They came out with that inverter technology a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, whatever it was, with the Infinity. It was like, how are we going to train everybody on this? Because there's a whole different diagnostic, skill that's required to understand it. And so they've turned to us to say, okay, can you help spread the word on this technical training? Like, can you help, spread the skill rather around dealing with this equipment? Imagine in few years when our catalog's even deeper and you want to go back to an old piece of equipment that you haven't touched in a long time and say, oh, let me remind me of that, or the latest that's coming out. Like, the hope is that with, what happens with some of the big technology companies, like if Microsoft, 10.0 Office 10.0 comes out, they've already gotten that in the hands of the training companies in the country. So they launch at the same time. The training's right there with the launch of the technology. Think about how it works in the HVAC industry, right? It's sort of like that thing's out there and it's a year and a half before anybody knows like how to train on it. And so, the hope is that, it won't just be the junior techs, which right now is our primary audience, is that 5-year and under experienced person who really gets a lot out of it. And, the older, if you got an ambitious older seasoned tech, they'll get in there and play around and like practicing their trade. But the hope is, this should be forever, that, for all techs of all, development levels should find something interesting and challenging in the catalog.
Well, you should never stop learning in this industry, ever. It's constantly evolving. Like, you should never stop learning. And the problem is there's a lot of ignorance in our trade. It's a lot of, we all know in order to fix something, you have to understand how it works. You have to know the sequence of operations. You have to know what it's not doing to know what it's supposed to be doing. And a lot of guys, I see it too many times. Guys learn just enough to be dangerous. And I think now I see guys that, and even some of these big companies, they're pushing them. Well, rather than waste money on technical, I'm just going to teach you how to sell stuff. I understand sales is the lifeblood of a company. You got to have the revenue, but you got to do it the right way. A technician is meant to fix things. If selling comes up, then hey, you sell it. That's fine. But the other part I like about this is a lot of those guys they can learn without anybody knowing, the guys who have that chip on their shoulder,
that's right.
The internet super techs, like the ones we have on our Facebook group, that they know everything. It gives guys they can go off in the corner and learn, and don't got to tell anybody. It can be their little secret.
That's not we when we originally started this, and we were looking again at the military, and they talked about it's sort of risk-free learning, right? Because you're not going to get shocked. You can imagine in those other areas even more deadly. I mean, obviously HVAC can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. Not quite the same as an oil rig, maybe, or a soldier. But that's why they hung around that. But they talk about this being a riskless environment, because you're not really going to get least bodily harm. But the one thing that they don't mention about that is that, and a really interesting point, Gil, the risk of standing up or telling someone, I don't really understand what's going on, because it's embarrassing. And they're like, well, you've been here a year and a half and you're telling me you don't understand this basic thing. And so I think you're right. There's a ton of gaps out there that chip on the shoulder, they're not willing to admit that. And we do find them on our platform trying to fill those gaps, which is fantastic. That's a risk-free place to learn, right? Your colleagues are not going to laugh. That's what they're worried about. And you're absolutely right. We get plenty of that going on.
Yeah. Or real fast, like the military qualifying. You got to qualify on a weapon every so often. I don't care if you were the best marksman there ever was the last time we qualified.
Yep.
You got to do it again.
Yep. That's a great point. And we didn't talk about the assessment capabilities, right? You want to be able to predict on-the-job competency. If you want to do it through a multiple choice quiz, you're probably not going to be too accurate. But if you want to do it in a simulation, actually mimicking the hands-on world, then yeah, you can start doing that. And, we have companies who use us as pre-hire assessments. Like you said, like this guy shows like he knows what he's doing. Does he really? Well, let's see. And, or, more, we see that a little bit. The other place we see it is really in those first 6 months. Instead of the service manager having to follow that person around for 6 weeks, really trying to figure out what they know and don't know, use our system, really get some insight into what you think they know and don't know and accelerate that knowledge. And so there's a place we see it, and it's like qualifying people on different equipment or different general skill set.
So you see, there's no gray area. Kelley knows how it is. If a guy goes out on a service call and then you get a call back and they got to go back, it's always, well, I mean, this was happening when I was there. That wasn't wrong when I saw it. With this, as the boss or the manager or the owner, what the outcome of that simulation is. So they can't BS you. If they get it wrong, then they didn't know.
It's very objective. That's exactly right.
Yeah. There's no way for an employee to be like, oh, well, I had a bad day, or you know what I mean? Like it kind of cuts through the bullshit. I mean, it's, we can kind of get to the problem at hand. So I really, really like this. I really love to get my hands on it again, because I really love the fact, like I said before, trade schools are good. If you find a good one, hey, some people need that. That's fine if you can do it. But business mind wise, I really love, like I said, how the guys can be working and be learning this on the field. And plus it's even like, as a senior tech, if you have something in class and you're showing this to another guy, walking another guy through it, I always say, like, the reason I love doing this podcast and YouTube and things like that is they say you don't really know something until you got to teach somebody else.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I think there's so many ways that you can involve this in your company to better your technicians and your employees. And that constant learning is what I love. So it can be constant and never stop.
That's right. We've seen something. We've heard this more than one occasion. Like, oh, we tried to do a Wednesday morning training series, or, especially obviously in the shoulder seasons, even more. And, we did it, and then we had a bunch of fires. We had to put out 2 weeks in a row, and then it disappeared, and we weren't doing it. And what they found is these simulations, they'll project them right on a big screen, just like a PowerPoint. And sometimes if it's a VR, if they have VR goggles, they'll have somebody in the VR goggles. If not, they're just using the online version. And it's like we're all on the rooftop together. Right? Hey, let's look what I'm measuring. Why is he measuring for 24 volts there? Anyone know? It's like a virtual field trip. And so, yeah, we've seen that. And that was fun for us because, as we've described it, even talked about it, you're really thinking about self-learning, right? You can go at your own pace, all these things, blah, blah, blah. But it was really interesting how the social learning that happened too, that we didn't anticipate. It's not like when we built these, we thought, oh, this is how it'll be used. It wasn't until I went into, it's actually a couple trailers. It was a solar company, and they had some VR stuff, and they were training on some of our solar content. And I showed up one day, and there was 6 guys around. One guy was in the headset. It was projecting what he sees, and they were all chiming in. Hey, Mario, don't forget to do this first, Mary. And I thought, oh, wow, what a social tool, like in terms of social learning. It was like they all just got on a roof together, and they were helping each other out, and then they were taking another turn through it. And that sort of opened my eyes to the power of it in a community setting versus, obviously, it's fundamentally a self-learning tool, but geez, it's powerful in that context as well.
Yeah, that is. Well, let me ask you this. I know we're kind of going backwards. What is your background? Like, how did you get into this?
Yeah. Not by, a lot of forethought, just like accidental. I've built a couple other small companies. And then this one, I was with this other crazy company, San Diego, years ago, and we were training energy auditors. And it just happened to be one of the things we were doing. It was sort of a green energy type company. And one of the things we were doing was this energy audit training. And we were training people, and you guys are familiar with like HERS ratings and, BPI, building performance, stuff like that. And the budget really only allowed for one day in the field. I mean, that's just, you can imagine that's not even close to enough, but like the math didn't make sense because you couldn't charge $6,000 for this course. And so when we started learning about combustion safety and putting these people in this house, and they would usually pass the national certification, but they clearly didn't know what they were doing yet because they hadn't gotten enough repetitions. They hadn't been in 20 houses. They had been in one. And so we said, we're looking around and said, you could simulate that. You could put them in 75 houses and change the furnace and change the pressure and change whether there's gas leak in a different place and all these things, right? That was actually a very cognitive exercise and a lot of variables. So it's set up really well for simulation. And we poked around and I was surprised nobody in the trades was using simulation in that manner. And so with that, we said, let's go see if we can solve this problem for the energy auditing industry. Started looking around at electrical and plumbing and different things. And that was the genesis of this whole thing. And we built our first software product kind of on the bet that we could do something there. And we're actually still, energy auditing business is still pretty small compared to HVAC. I mean, it's tiny. It's like 1/100th, but we dominate it. We still do HERS and Department of Energy, Home Energy Score and stuff. And they use simulations for training and certification. So to actually get certified, you've got to do a 3D sim to demonstrate, the equivalent of an in the field type observation. That's how that all came about.
Do you guys do, I guess two-part question. One, do you guys do any stuff with this? I guess that's a whole different kind of thing. Never mind. I was going to say like Nate related.
Oh, no, absolutely. We're absolutely. Everything we have is submitted through CEU, for CEU. So everything you do, you can submit for CEUs. I mean, literally hundreds. I don't know how many hours. So it's a lot. And we just announced, 6 weeks ago, a big partnership with Nate. If you go with their new, what do they call it? Their new not core exams. They have the new 5. They're trying to make it more incremental than just the professional, right? Instead of waiting 2 years, you can start incrementing. And we've actually mapped our content to those, or they call them KSAs, knowledge, skills, and abilities. And if you go to the Nate website and it says you want to pursue this path, click here and it goes over to Interplay. So they've looked at it and said, geez, we care about the industry. This is a good way to accelerate people into it. Great access. So it was a nice endorsement for us, frankly, to have, what I think is the gold standard in terms of competency measurement in the industry, lean on us as the online provider for this type of training. So certainly Nate's a big part of what we do.
Nice. Yeah, just don't be the douchebag when it's 100 degrees outside wearing long sleeves to show off your Nate patch. We get it, okay? We don't have Nate certifications. I don't need to wear long sleeves when it's 100 degrees outside. So how are you? I mean, I guess
if you had to guess which way our industry has been going, like where's the majority of the focus been on? Is it the technical ability or is it sales? From what I see and we know the importance of sales, but, and we talk about it often, but it feels like it's going that way, like drastically.
Yeah.
So this is great to bring the technical side back into it because this is the real skills that people are lacking. We can all learn sales. Like that's like an afterthought. We have to know what we're doing first.
Yeah. That's
you can't fix it. Then you shouldn't be allowed to sell it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Right.
And it's hard to scale technical learning. We know that. There's a reason it's bottlenecked. And we have a graph that we show a lot about, effectiveness, right? The most effective, like we talked about, is job shadowing for 3 years, but that's not going to work for your company. So how do you get effective and scalable and efficient? And, we think we got a solution that's approaching that one-on-one type thing. I mean, one thing that we talk about occasionally is like Amazon, if you're a book reader, they know exactly what you've read. They know what you should read next. They, put you down a path, right? There's no reason that your educator should know the same thing, right? So we have techs doing assessments, so we know this should be the next course, probably given where their competency level is. It just can be, a lot smarter path to competency.
Yeah, no. At first I was joking about it. I was saying, you almost have like a Xbox and like a PS4 version, you know what I mean?
It's not a joke. I will say straight right here, at some point someone's going to learn a trade in their living room on a game console. And when I say learn a trade, let's be careful. Of course it doesn't replace, you're going to have a company sort of sponsoring you in the field, and you're going to have to do all of that. But there's no reason you need to go, well, I won't, there's a lot of other ways to learn, but that one's certainly an efficient, easy way, and rather inexpensive. And, we talk about this skills gap, and what's the number now? 45 million people unemployed, 39 million, whatever it is, because of this COVID. And you think, what industries are not coming back? And, you guys, both of your companies would hire what you thought was a good, modestly skilled, but promising tech tomorrow. You probably have 3 spots open you could fill like tomorrow. And so we just need to get them training. It has to be accessible, it has to be affordable, and it has to be in-demand jobs. And, we're staring at 100,000 in-demand jobs today. So, fast forward a few years, and somebody might be jumping on their Xbox to say, I got to go get a job. And I'm going to start right here in my living room, preparing for that interview or preparing for that, that sort of entry level.
Well, just think nowadays, every kid in public school, they want to be doing stuff on a laptop, some kind of computer. If we could replace vocational schools with, hey guys, take this class. You're going to get to go sit in this classroom and play on a PlayStation, but it's going to be about learning a trade. That's going to start bridge the gap to the trades, to the younger generation.
That's right.
You're starting to give them something that they're comfortable with. And if you just a small percentage, we're doing better than we are now.
That's right. So we don't really sell the schools now because we just want to focus on delivering, like I described, that sort of profitable tech quickly as we can. But in 2021, we will. And when we do, we have visions of, can you stand up? I mean, essentially you have a trade school in a box, right? You could do a survey class that would be a semester long, and you would do 3 weeks in HVAC, 3 weeks in plumbing, 3 weeks in facility maintenance, 3 weeks in, whatever it is, welding, even, virtual welding, all of that. You come out 4 months later and say, oh, I was really attracted to this trade or that trade. And the problem with, as you guys know, they shut down most of those schools and those labs in the 80s and 90s. And who's going to come up with the budget to stand that up, right? Like, who's going to go get the train equipment in the back and start? And it's just unrealistic. So if we could do we're not going to create technicians in a semester, but a survey course for, technical and advanced trades or something, very doable. I think you're going to see that in the next few years.
Yeah, I love this. I love all the possibilities, like what you guys are doing with it. And I know just from the time that I saw it to what you guys are doing now, it's like way different, like so much better. I think the first time I saw it, you guys were like in your infancy.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's, we're very humble about what we're doing here, right? We know this is bleeding edge stuff, and bleeding edge means sometimes we're bloody. and we're getting, at this point we're pretty good at the sims are pretty solid, but it doesn't mean they're frictionless. It doesn't mean we're, constantly improving them. We didn't talk about the intellectual property of my company, but we have a single code base that runs every sim. So if we have a better way to engage with, let's say, a lead from a probe, regardless of the domain, we fix that and we recode it and we hit publish, every simulation now gets that new interaction capability. And it's that scalability that's required to do what we're, ambitiously trying to do. But we recognize, we look back at some of our stuff. I mean, back in the day, we built some simulations that I look back and say, that was not a good product. But we've learned from it, and we've learned really good instructional design. And we ask for feedback all day long. Like, help us make it better. Help us make it better. We want to hear what content you need, like what's really missing in the marketplace. We want to hear where the friction points or the bottlenecks were and how we presented the material. And that's just the attitude we've taken because we know there's something special here. And the last thing we want to be is arrogant and say, oh, here's the perfect product. It's like, if this doesn't look way better in 2 years, we're not doing our job. Like we got to get better every day. And the beauty of coding is it's not hard to do. It's not like we have to rip a system out and start over. We just make incremental changes and incremental improvements. And that's why you're experiencing that, Gil. Like it is better than it was 2 years ago, for sure. Just the whole user interface, the user experience. And by the way, it's going to be better in about 3 months. Like I know it is. There's already some feature sets we're bringing out that are going to, go, oh, okay, this is what it was missing. It's so obvious now. So yeah, we continue to iterate and improve.
Even little things, and Kelley, just, I got a big mouth, man, so just jump in. But even little things is like what the meter looks like. It looks like the new fancy meter that everybody wants. Little things like that are playing the psyche of a person, what the gauges look like. Then next thing you know, you got guy running out to buy that gauge. Well, this is the one I use in the simulation, so I'm familiar with it. Like this little things like that. I wanted to ask, do you guys do any kind of like ductless geothermal? What is that kind of stuff? So we do.
We've done ductless for GRE, so it's in the GRE community. Like it's there. He's out there. One of the trainers is out there traveling the country, using the VR pre-COVID. Now using online simulations to train. We have not released a general ductless yet, but we will inside of this year. I know it's on the product roadmap because it's, ductless is a little tricky on general because they're all pretty similar, but the diagnostic codes are a good bit different. So we want to make sure we do it right in a good general way. So you will see that. I don't have the product roadmap in front of me, content roadmap, but I believe before the end of the year.
Nice. Because that's one of the biggest ones I see when I said earlier about ignorance. A lot of guys, they're pieces of shit. I don't like them. And it's because they don't know how to fix them.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
I make a living
just
selling
high-end
high-end
pumps
stuff.
for a young guy.
Yeah.
Heat pumps for a young guy, they hate them.
Yep. Yeah. Our heat pump is one of our most active sims. So I know people are trying, they have questions about it. So they love the heat pump. It's one of the more active troubleshooting sims that we have.
So you guys do like commercial, residential? I mean, you're in like the whole...
Yeah. We started in residential, so we're deepest in residential, but we just added, I'm not a technical guy, so I always worry about looking like a total ass. Maybe a 12-ton unit on a rooftop system. And we're doing chillers now, cooling towers. And so, yeah, we're moving in a little more commercial, couple commercial boilers, some big ass scary looking things. So yeah, we've sort of learned that we're deep enough in residential for now, and we don't have endless dollars to build endless content. So we're trying to beef up commercial a little bit, and we'll continue to bring residential along for sure. But we're putting a little more emphasis on some of the heavier stuff, so we can invite some of the more commercial HVAC folks in. They love the multimeter. We have a new multimeter assessment capability coming out, and they love that because obviously that. But they've also said, hey, can we get a little more preventative maintenance on some chillers, stuff like that? So yeah, that's coming.
That's cool. I definitely think the sky's the limit with you guys and what you're doing. I mean, this is something definitely I could see for the long haul. And I love all the things that we talked about as far as, pre-qualifying somebody when they hire someone to see what, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to not get hired. It just means
identify their gaps, see what they know and what they don't know. And then let's put a plan together to get them there, right? Hire for attitude, train for aptitude. Let's just give you a tool to do that efficiently.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, man, I think you're here. I'll give you this much. But hey, with this plan, we can get you to here and you can make this much.
That's right.
Just to let somebody know that there is a plan in place and it's not just, hey, you're going to make $20 an hour and, 6 months you'll come back and we'll see.
Yeah.
People like to see that plan.
Hey, Kelley, as a business owner, and Gil, as you run yours, you know, if the career path is clear and you're genuinely investing in people, you know, all things else being equal, they'll stay with you. And as long and by showing this investment in their training, that means a lot to them, right? You're not asking them for the $300, you're paying it. You're saying, look, I want you to get better, and I'm going to give you the tools to do that. And I think you'll see it pay not only obviously in their competency levels, but also in their loyalty to the company. And we talk about that a lot, right? Like better careers mean better lives. And it also means better employees, by the way. And so, so that's what we're trying to support.
Yeah. It's just showing that you care, you know, and it's bigger. Like we always tell people that, you know, customers are great, but the employee is the most important people at your company. Because without the employees, the customers don't really mean anything.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
You know, like this morning, I did a dance line with my employees where we lined up on each side. And, you know, that was our first thing we did this morning. And we got done. Everybody was happy and laughing. Yeah. I thought I was going to break my neck, but it just put a smile on everybody's face and then was like, hey, high five, let's go make some money today.
Yeah. I mean, if this were market research, I might be asking, how do we build a dance line sim? But it's just a casual conversation. So I won't follow that line.
Yeah, you know, just
we break burning boards, so you got to have one of those.
Ooh, I like that.
The board on fire, break it.
Nice.
Is that like the little taekwondo? Like my son did that, where it's like a little board that they halfway break it, you know, and they're like holding it up.
Yeah.
And like, and it breaks in half. I'm like,
right.
Oh, shit, he didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not about that. Everybody gets a trophy stuff. They can break it. But yeah, man, we've been talking longer than I thought, Doug. I love what you guys are doing. I really do. And like I told you, me and Kelley are huge on guys getting what they need to be successful. Having the opportunities and the resources out there. And to me, this is a very valuable resource. And if someone doesn't take advantage of this, if a business owner doesn't take advantage of this, I really, really think they're missing out. We would love to help promote you in any way. Like I said, we can talk off air about some other things that I talked about.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you coming on, and I really, really love what you guys are doing. I want to get my hands on this myself.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. And yeah, we'll, you know, like post-COVID, when the world gets back, I'm sure we'll be crossing paths at the AHR. Maybe if it's in person next year, it looks a little dicey, but we're there. You get to try the headset on, you know, if you don't. And I'm telling you, when you're done with the, you know, obviously the online's the go-to now, but when we get you in the VR and you take the headset off, you're going to say, and because it's uncensored, you're going to say, holy shit, that's incredible.
Right.
My brain thought I was, you know, fixing that rooftop unit or whatever. So it's pretty special.
Now you got to find a way for me to fix that hot attic unit with the VR.
That's right.
So I don't have to be in the attic. Before I forget, where are you guys based out of? Where are you located?
We're out of Austin, Texas. Speaking of hot attics.
Yeah, well, just so you know that.
Yeah, everything's in the attic in Texas.
Yeah, Texas might be my new home here soon.
All right, come down. No state taxes.
Yeah, well, we're family in Katy, Texas.
Oh, cool. Nice.
So yeah, we're looking into that now.
So I got a question, Doug. So if we want to sign up online, do we just go online? Just go to interplaylearning.com and we can sign up ourselves?
You sure can. Okay. And typically we'll ask, if you're buying for more than 3 techs, like if you're a company, basically what we're doing. If you're an individual, people go on, they either buy a year license, which there's various things, but just say $250 or something. I think to get the CEUs for Nate, you have to pay $250 versus $199. But most people, if you're a company owner, will then put their name in, say, I need 5+, or I'm exploring for 5+ or 20+ or whatever it is. And then a salesperson will call you and they'll set up a demo for you and walk you through the whole thing. And, off you go. And
gotcha.
Yeah, we've got a good team that loves doing that because frankly, the products sell so well. Like when they see it, people, this reaction, you guys are having this reaction because you know the pain of training, but you're not even seeing the product. Like we're not looking directly at the product as we speak. But for those people who haven't seen it, they kind of, people light up because they can't believe they see the meter that they touch every day in a virtual, environment or a manifold or whatever it is. So, so interplaylearning.com, put your info in, or like I said, you can buy it straight there, or get routed into the sales organization and the customer success, and they'll walk you through things that you'll probably want to see, the command center, the things we just talked about. Some of that's best to see that in a demo through one of the reps.
Awesome. Yeah. And like I said, I've actually had my hands on it before.
That's right.
It's probably newer, so I know what it's about. And I thought it was neat the 2 times I've seen it. So I know it's only gotten better since then. So I that's why I say I can't wait to get my hands on it. Well, listeners, I guess we're going to get ready to close this out. Doug, we really appreciate you coming on. We're definitely gonna stay in touch.
Yeah, for sure. But, thank you guys. And thanks for what you guys are doing. You don't have to do this. And I'm sure you're not doing this because it's making you rich. I'm sure you're doing it because you want to serve the industry. So, I applaud that. And let us help you guys too. And we'll all keep rowing in the same direction.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, guys.
All right. We'll talk soon.
All righty. All right, Kel, let's close this out, buddy.
I think this is just such a no-brainer. Like, I'm going to check this out tomorrow and get my guys signed up, because this is absolutely filling the gap that we need filled in our industry. And we as a business owner, we all have this problem. So I've got, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, even my more experienced techs, I know that they're going to enjoy it too. So I'm thinking of what types of incentives I'm going to tie to this to get some interaction. And I think it'll be great for the company. So I know it'd be great for anybody out there looking to fill that gap in your own business, because we know how expensive it is. Like I said, the lodging, the travel, the food, and the class itself to send somebody somewhere. And I don't live in a big city, so there's no schools like that are right next to me that are affordable. They're extremely expensive. So that's why I'm looking into it. I hope you guys will look into it too. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I know I did. I want to thank Doug again for coming on. Please subscribe. We're on all the podcast apps, your favorite podcast app. So go out and subscribe. Please leave us a review. And until next time, guys, make money.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more with Kelley. You guys that have been following us for a long time, you know how me and Kelley are about learning and about getting better and being good at what we do. The sky is the limit in this industry. If you want to be that guy that, you just work 8 to 4, you get paid on Friday and you go home and, you're fine with that. Hey, that's fine. You can do that. But if you want to be that person that excels and takes all these different opportunities and learns that the sky is the limit in this industry, you can go as far as you want to. You can own your own business. You can be a manager. You can get in commercial, get in industrial. And there's ways out there for you to be better at this. And people always say they don't have time. With something like this, you can be sitting taking a dump. I mean, and I hate to say it that way, but guys, you have more downtime than you think you do. I'm a busy person, and I don't say that to brag, but it's not bragging. I wish I had more free time, to be honest. There's always time to better yourself. And this is something you can do on your own to make yourself better. If you own a business, look into this, guys. Interplay Learning. .com. Check it out. Check out Doug and Interplay on all their social media platforms. Give them a like, follow them, and just what they're doing and what they're doing for our industry, the industry that we all know and love. You can be a better technician, or if you own a business, you can have better technicians. To me, that is a win-win situation. And it's a problem that all of us are trying to solve. I don't care where your business is, where you do it. It's something we all deal with on a day-to-day basis, and we're all trying to fix it. All right. Well, here's a way that we can. All right, let me close this out with my big mouth. Guys, I love you. Remember, always make it home the same way you left, man. Be safe out there. All right? Do what the next guy's not doing. Going to interplaylearning.com. And trying to excel himself. And yeah, man, until next week, I love you, mofos. I appreciate you. And we'll talk at you next week. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.